Ubisoft averted another disaster in 2024 by pushing Assassin's Creed Shadows off until the early stages of 2025, but they couldn't escape the year without any more damage, having to come out earlier this week by saying that XDefiant, couldn't quite make the year, bro. Letting you know that, hey, at least you can still enjoy this game that nobody's playing for another 6 months. Darn. Dear players, important message, XDefiant is sunsetting, which is crazy because, okay, cool, if you have plans to kill the game ultimately, wouldn't you try to maximize your player base and not tell the remaining or potentially interested audience that don't get too invested in this? Wouldn't you do that a little bit closer to your end date? Like 6 months is a lot of time to tell you that, yeah, your interest in this game, it's not going to be rewarded moving forward. Thank you for your incredible support and dedication to XDefiant. Well, if there was incredible support and dedication, you wouldn't be making this announcement. You would be saying, hey, we have plans for season 3, 4, and 5. No, we regret to inform you that we are initiating the sunset process starting today, December 3rd. As a result, new downloads, player registrations, and purchases will no longer be available. So basically, they're just basically shutting this shit down right now. All right. As a result, Season 3 will still launch, the servers will remain active, and the game will be fully playable until June 3rd, 2025. For those who purchase the Ultimate Founders Pack, you will receive a full refund. Yo! Concord route right here. Players who made any purchases within the last 30 days will also be fully refunded. Please note that the processing, these refunds will take up to 2 months? What? For the details on refunds, visit XDefiant. Thank God there's not that many people that are out there that will be a run afoul of this, but this is quite a disaster, right? Like there's only allegations to how much money Skull and Bones cost Ubisoft, but this one right here, oh boy, this is probably the biggest disaster. Like Star Wars Outlaws was a huge money loss as well, but at least they can continue to try to limp that game along where, well, eventually they can just say, hey guys, we sold 1 million copies, but that game came out 6 years ago. Yeah, we finally sold 1 million copies. It's great. It's really great, but here's the knock-on effect. Okay, Ubisoft CEO Yves Guillemot appears to hint that more layoffs are coming to company after it shut down XDefiant. So yeah, here we go. The slow process, not so slow in this case, of Ubisoft crumbling in 2025 has now begun officially. Ubisoft CEO Yves Guillemot hinted that more layoffs are likely coming to the company after it announced its shutdown of XDefiant and were laying off around 300 people. In a blog post written by Ubisoft's chief studios and portfolio officer Marie-Sophie Adewabou, Wabert, some other French bridge. Company announced despite an encouraging start, the team's passionate work and the committed fan base were not able to attract and retain enough players for the long run to compete at the level we aim for the very demanding free-to-play FPS market. Shucks. If only it wasn't like a month or two ago when people were going, yo, this game's kind of dying on the vine. No, we still have plans moving forward. Shut your mouth. And here we are. As a result, the game is too far away from reaching the results required to enable further significant investment, and we are announcing that we will be sunsetting it. She then explained, concretely, that means that as of today, new downloads, player registrations, and purchases will no longer be available. We already went through all of that stuff. Hilarious. Wobert then explained that not only was the company shutting down XDefiant, but it was closing its San Francisco and Osaka production studios. Yeah, that has been echoed here, with 177 people to be laid off, half of XDefiant team moving to other projects. Hey, look at that. You might actually get some experienced hands on Assassin's Creed Shadows, and you won't have to rely on half of your developers never working on a game before. More on that, I do believe, Sunday. Anyways, Ubisoft had hoped the game would compete with Call of Duty, I beg your pardon, but recently was denying shutdown rumors amid declining player numbers. Yeah, exactly. And I'm pretty sure I talked about that when that news broke back in the cut. But it's actually worse than that. Yeah, with 277 jobs impacted. Hilarious. An all-staff email penned by Ubisoft Yves Guillemot, the CEO, was then leaked by Tom Henderson at Inside Gaming. Okay. In the email, Guillemot justified the game's closure and the layoffs out. We wanted to take a firm and clear decision to enable us to concentrate our investments and forces on more profitable projects. So another thing that you're eventually going to have to copy and paste this email for in order to justify the layoffs of those teams working on those projects. He then hinted at possible more layoffs, as company will have more targeted restructurings. Focusing all around Assassin's Creed Shadows and everybody that can cross their fingers and pray to God enough time has passed between all of the controversy that has gone on this year and a February launch. Spoiler, it won't, even if you're trying to market your Black Samurai game during Black History Month. We see what you're trying to do. I am well aware that given the current context, such announcements may worry you. Yeah, and that's understandable. The entire industry is facing similar difficult decisions. Let's have a round of applause for that, because the Western gaming industry has been producing shit for a long time, so now you're getting what you deserve. Yet, often the scale of the impact is much larger. Our organization has allowed us to limit the impact of these kinds of decisions and make more targeted restructuring. And all our efforts are focusing on trying to maintain this course and philosophy. We will continue working to evolve our organization to adapt it to market changes and with a long-term perspective in mind. I mean, you keep seeing these screenshots like, I never played the game. I never see anybody actually play the game, but it bears a striking resemblance to the Rainbow Six Siege, really, okay? Because I've seen a fair amount of that gameplay, and this doesn't look too dissimilar to that, but the art style, bro, like, it's just a zoomer shooter. When has that shit ever worked, okay? It's lame as hell. And yeah, none of this, this fake edgy shit, like, it was even being mocked and ridiculed way back in the cut. It's like Watch Dogs 2. Like, you'd think Ubisoft would learn after a while, but furthermore, Guillemot revealed that the company will be allegedly making significant changes across the board. Yeah, bet. In the coming days, some members of the executive committee will reach out to you. Cecil Rousset, okay, will share new initiatives aimed at addressing some of the questions raised by Ubisoft XP. Marie-Sophie de Waubert will present initiatives to bring back a daily focus on creation, ensuring fewer unnecessary processes and more time dedicated to what truly matters to each of us, making the best games possible. Well, you would love to see that, because some of my favorite games, especially of the late 2000s, early 2010s, did come from Ubisoft. I have fond memories of Far Cry 3 and 4, really. I didn't mind 4, even though it was just kind of a pathetic retreading of 3, but it was still fun enough. And those first few Assassin's Creed games, bro, they were top tier stuff. And yeah, even going back a little bit further than that, some of those Tom Clancy games were revolutionary. Ubisoft was a proper development house back in the cut. They were so prominent, you remember, they used to have their own E3 press conference. Them, EA, and the heavy hitters. They were up there, and it wasn't a joke. Well, even though their presentations were very, very, very funny. But there was a point in time where, yeah, they would actually laugh at themselves because Aisha Tyler was such a bad host, they kept on bringing her back. But they were in on the joke. Man, Western gaming, it used to be a proper industry. But back to this email here. Elaine Corre, whatever, will provide updates at the launch of Assassin's Creed Shadows, progress made in strengthening our relationship with gamers, particularly regarding, the Crew Motorfest. Didn't that also get shut down? And Star Wars Outlaws, or at least there's, I don't know anything specific, haven't read anything. All I've seen is a couple of headlines that could be terribly misleading. But yeah, Star Wars Outlaws, we've cataloged its tremendous failure. And that's something I'm going to be doing over this weekend, as people have early access to. It looked like her arm was a stump there for a second. But anyways, that threw me off tremendously. Just the game is so shit. But no. Next week, there's going to be at least one, but probably a bunch of videos on Indiana Jones and the Great Circle, because, boy, I'm going to be watching a couple of people play that, depending on who's streaming it and stuff. I know Az is going to be streaming it when you see this. He might be streaming it as we speak. But yeah, I'll be checking in on the gameplay on that one, because I hope it's good. I really don't think it's going to be that great, okay? At best, it's going to be mediocre and forgettable, but at worst, it could be another one of those that come out in 2024. But going back to Ubisoft here, the shuttering of XDefiant comes after Ubisoft admitted the game sales had missed expectations. Talking about Outlaws. At the end of September, no, this is just specifically talking about XDefiant. I'm sorry, there's so many failures under Ubisoft in 2024, it's tough to keep them all straight. Guillemot revealed we also had behind expectations for XDefiant, which we will give a bit more detail of in the end of October. And then here we are at the beginning of December going, guys, we're shutting it down. A report from Henderson in August claimed the game's concurrent player counts were either 20,000 or well below it. Apparently, quite a bit below it. Henderson noted that one source informed him that the game had been struggling to obtain 20,000 concurrent players across all platforms. They, Ubisoft, would probably be happy with that number, suggesting that concurrent player counts were much lower than that, and given the fact that the game was around for at least 6 months before it got sunsetted, it's at least performing a little bit better than Concord did for those glorious 14 days that it was around. But XDefiant's executive producer, Mark Rubin, would confirm player counts were down in the middle of October, while addressing a rumor that the game would be shutting down after Season 4 due to low player counts and low sales. Yes, Rubin wrote on X, to be crystal clear, there are no plans to shut down after Season 4. Yeah, after Season 3 there was. Anyways, I've literally, guys, so I definitely know what I'm talking about. As of last week, to discuss our Year 2 plans, and they went, okay, what are your Year 2 plans? You shutting the studio down? Great, we're on the same page. Wait, what? He continued, but right now we are super focused on improving the technical experience, which includes netcode. No, you should probably work on that like right now, because if you can't connect online and have a smooth player experience, you're not going to have any users, which, oopsie daisy, ended up happening, and adding more content for seasons 3 and 4. However, he then admitted the player numbers are down. We have done very little marketing, so yes, our numbers are down, but that is just to give the team the time to get the game in a better place before the bigger spends on market to bring new players to the game and bring back players that have left. Yeah, so we're not spending money on the game right now because we want to make it good, even though it's been released. Very strange logic leaps on that one, but hey, it worked on enough people to keep the game around for a minute. But yeah, it's one of the numerous failures for not just for Star Wars, but for Ubisoft this year. Star Wars, that's their own list that we can go ahead and compile, but the little crossover that we have, obviously, when Outlaws got released on Steam last week, the week before, the 21st of November, I remember it failed to hit 2,500 concurrent players, and I can check right now because I'm recording this Thursday evening. I kind of think we're going to have a tough time hitting that 2,500 mark, especially the weekend where you have another big Lucasfilm project dropping, and there's actually early numbers on that one. And well, even though, okay, because Star Wars Outlaws, yeah, it originally debuted over on Ubisoft's proprietary client, so we don't necessarily know how big of a disaster it fully is until we start to hear that, yeah, Massive Games is getting, significantly slashed. I'd imagine that's probably coming early next year. But the early numbers for indie, yeah, I don't know. Just about 2,200 concurrent players on its first half day of release. Like it says, the game is currently in advanced access for the people that either pre-ordered or pre-ordered the deluxe edition. Anyways, but that's not the full breadth of the player base. A significant number are going to be on Game Pass, so all of those numbers aren't going to be revealed realistically ever until you do some sussing and stuff like that. But I would say a large majority of the player base is going to be on Game Pass, is going to drop. I think Monday is the full release, and so Steam is just going to be a small subsect of it. But with this advanced access, if it doesn't wow people, that's going to have a big knock-on effect, and ultimately indie could follow the fate of its Lucasfilm brethren in shutting down a once great studio and ultimately having a knock-on effect for that publisher, because Bethesda, oh boy, they've been cranking out crap for a minute. Anybody remember Starfield? Anybody out there? Anybody still playing Starfield? Yeah. And then Ubisoft, nobody's playing XDefiant, nobody's playing Star Wars Outlaws, and Shadows, I mean, bro, we already know what's going on over there. So without any further ado, I thank you all very much for the gift of your time. I've been Don Consuelo. I want you to follow your gut and get after it. Take care, everyone.